You are listening to the Social English Podcast. This is an English repair shop or help me fix my English episode.
英語を学び始めたばかりのリスナーの皆さん、こんにちは。ソーシャルイングリッシュポッドキャストの今日のエピソードはあなたのためです。それでも問題が解決せず、このエピソードの英語が理解できない場合は、ゆっくりとエピソードを聞いてください。頑張れ。
Hey, all of you listeners, I have a question. Have you ever had an old gadget or thing break? Well, today we're going to help one of our listeners fix their English about a broken synthesizer. That's right, a keyboard. So stay tuned to find out more on today's episode right after this.
皆さんこんにちは。毎日少しずつ社交に使える英語の上達を目指すソーシャルイングリッシュポッドキャストへようこそ。今日はぜひもっと自信を持って英会話してみましょう。Are you ready, Percy? Let's go!
Hey, 皆さん、everybody, こんにちは. And welcome back to the Social English Podcast, where we help you improve your English speaking with practical tips and fun examples. If you are new here, I'm Percy, your host, and a big thank you to my co-host Hikari for that great introduction. So today, guess what? We're going to tackle a listener submission, correct some common mistakes, share some personal stories of mine, and even have a fun little quiz. So enjoy today's episode of the Social English Podcast. We'll be back right after this.
すべての英語修理店のエピソードと同様に4つのパートがあります。パート1では英語を勉強している日本人が間違って言ったことを正確に聞くことができます。パート2では会話型のソーシャルイングリッシュスタイルで正しい英語を聞くことができます。パート3ではパーシーはあなたが同じ過ちを犯さないようにするために彼が重要だと考えるヒントをあなたに与えます。パート4でパーシーは正しい英語版を高速で自然な速度で言います。このようにしてネイティブの速度で英語を聞く練習をすることもできます。
So that's right, Cole. Actually, 4 parts today, and we're also going to give you surprise 2 more bonus sections, okay? So let's get started with the first part. Let's get into our listeners' submission. Now, this is the wrong English. There are mistakes in this English submitted by the listener, and I want you to listen with me and think, how can you change this? How can you fix this English? Okay? And listen, think how you'd fix it, and let's get started. Here we go. I have a synthesizer which I purchased approximately 30 years ago. F key had been broken. I called this maker customer service. They replied me that this model customer service already had ended. I am going to try to repair it myself today. Okay? So that is the wrong English. Now, did you hear the mistakes? I want you to think to yourself. I'll give you 5 seconds. Pause this podcast. Speak out loud how you would fix this. Think to yourself. Think hard and speak. Okay? Go ahead. Let's start. Okay, now that we're back, let's go ahead and get into the correct version, okay? This is the correct version, the right version of English, okay? Let's get started. This is it. Please listen to Kite Kudasai. Okay? Please listen very closely. I have a synthesizer that I bought about 30 years ago. The F key is broken. I called the manufacturer's customer service. They told me that support for this model has ended. I'm going to try to fix it myself today. Now that was a very great way how to explain what's going on and tell the story about your synthesizer in very clear, easy to understand English. Okay, so let's now get into some hints and some tips to help you not make these mistakes and sound more natural. Instead of which I purchased, it's more natural in English. Okay, so when you speak in English for it to be natural, it's better if you say that I bought. So don't say which I purchased, but say that I bought. Okay, another tip, tip 2. Had been broken should be just is broken. Because had been means it's not broken now, but it is still broken, so you must use is broken. And tip 3, remove the before this maker customer service and just say the manufacturer's customer service. Because in English, we don't say maker, we say manufacturer, because the manufacturer is the proper name in English for something that was made. So you can say the company, so you can say the company's customer service, but it's more common to say the manufacturers. Okay, it's a long, more difficult word, but it's better and easier to understand. Replied to me. You should change that to told me. Okay, we use told when someone gives us information directly. So if you say something to me, or someone says something to you in a conversation, on the phone, it is told me, not replied. Okay, so that is the last bit of tips for today's episode. Now, I used to have a guitar, and, I try to fix it too, and it was challenging, but, I had a lot of fun figuring it out because I had to buy new guitar strings, and I was really young. I think about 10 years old. So I understand the problem or having the problem. Now let's talk about past and present tense. We use the past tense for actions that are completed, like I bought. We use the present tense for things that are still true, like is broken. So if it's still true, you want to use the present tense, is broken. And I talked about that a little bit earlier. So let's get into the native speed. I'm going to say the correct version one more time, but this time it'll be at a native English speed. So please listen very closely. Now remember, this is conversational English. This is social English for conversations. Here we go. Kite kudasai. I have a synthesizer that I bought about 30 years ago. The F key is broken. I called a manufacturer's customer service. They told me that support for this model has ended. I'm going to try to fix it myself today. Okay, guess what? You know what I was thinking? A fun thing to do is to do a little quiz. So let's have a little quiz to test what you learn in today's episode. Okay? Listen to these 4 sentences and tell me what should be in the sentence. Should it be past or present tense? Okay? Now, here we go. I blank this synthesizer 30 years ago. Bought or buy? Question 2. The F key blank broken is or was? Number 3. Customer service blank me the support ended. Told or tell? I blank try to fix it myself today. Am going to or was going to. Okay, so those were the questions in the quiz. Are you ready for the answers? Okay, let's get to it, okay? Here are the answers. Number 1. I bought this synthesizer 30 years ago. Number 2. The F key is broken. Number 3. Customer service told me the support ended. Number 4. I am going to try to fix it myself today.
このショーを気に入っていただけたら5つ星のレビューをぜひお願いします。
Okay, everybody. Minasan. Okay. Now let's get to your homework, your action items for today. I'm going to challenge you. Today's challenge is to use the phrase, I'm going to try, in a conversation. Rinshu, practice. Try it out. Let me know how it goes. Now, before we finish, don't forget to do some things for me. Leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere where you listen to this podcast. Tell your friends about it. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us on the podcast and stay updated with more episodes of the Social English Podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today and joining me for a fun day of English. Have any questions, you know where to do. Ask me about them on Instagram at social_English_ Japanese. So just look for Social English for Japanese. You'll find me there. Leave a message. Follow me there at Instagram for some quick little clips of the podcast so you can share them with your friends too. Okay, that's it for today's episode. See you next time. Peace and love.
今日は楽しい時間をありがとうございました。ぜひ私たちのウェブサイト realsocialenglish.com を訪問して日本語訳と役立つ情報を手に入れてください。また次回お会いしましょう。バイバイ。See you next time. Bye bye.